Chapter 6, Improving Communication Skills. Lesson 6.1, The Power of Listening in Marriage. Why listening is crucial for a healthy relationship. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's tempting to listen while mentally making your grocery list or scrolling through your phone. But here's the thing. Really listening is like relationship superglue. It tells your partner, hey, your thoughts and feelings actually matter to me, which builds trust, deepens emotional connection, and smooths over those inevitable, why didn't you take out the trash moments. In this lesson, we'll break down why active listening is key to a happy marriage and toss in some simple tips to help you become a listening pro. No cape required. The benefits of active listening. Emotional connection. Listening is like hitting the I care about you button. When your partner feels heard, they're more likely to open up and share the good, the bad, and the I've had a weird day moments. Conflict resolution. A lot of relationship drama comes from simple misunderstandings. Listening helps you dodge those, making it easier to actually solve problems instead of escalating them to, we're sleeping on opposite sides of the bed territory. Trust and respect. When you listen, you show respect for your partner's thoughts, even if they're ranting about their boss for the 100th time. And guess what? That builds trust and mutual respect. Reduced resentment. Nothing kills romance like feeling ignored. When you actively listen, you help avoid those little resentments that can turn into major blow-ups over who didn't fold the laundry. Common barriers to effective listening. Let's be real. Sometimes listening is hard. Here are a few common hurdles you might recognize. Distractions. Phones, work, kids, Netflix. It's a noisy world out there. But if you're distracted, you're only half listening, and no one wants to feel like they're competing with your Twitter feed. Jumping in before your partner finishes. Guilty as charged. But when you do this, you send the message that what you have to say is more important than their thoughts. Ouch. Defensiveness. If your partner's feedback feels like an attack, it's easy to get defensive. But when you're busy planning your counter-argument, you're definitely not listening. Prejudging. Thinking you already know what your partner's going to say? Slow down, monitor. That assumption can stop you from hearing what they actually need to say. How to improve your listening skills. Want to level up your listening game? Here's how. 1. Be fully present. When your partner talks, put down your phone, close your laptop, and look at them like you're actually interested, because you are, right? Being fully present shows them that they've got your attention. 2. Avoid interrupting. Resist the urge to jump in with your own brilliant thoughts. Let your partner finish before you respond. It's like giving them the mic. They deserve their turn to speak. 3. Reflect and clarify. After they've shared, reflect back what you've heard. Try saying, so, what I'm hearing is... This not only makes sure you're on the same page, but also shows you're genuinely engaged in the conversation. 4. Ask open-ended questions. Want to dive deeper? Toss in a few open-ended questions like, tell me more about how you're feeling. It keeps the conversation flowing and helps you get a fuller picture of their perspective. 5. Practice empathy. Listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about understanding the emotions behind them. Try to put yourself in their shoes or slippers and respond in a way that shows you're feeling their feelings too. Reflection exercise. Take a moment to think about your listening habits. Be honest here. Are you fully present when your partner's speaking, or are you mentally drafting tomorrow's to-do list? How often do you jump in before they've finished or offer solutions before they even finish venting? What can you do to improve your listening game and deepen your connection? By practicing active listening, you'll create a relationship where both of you feel heard, understood, and most importantly, valued. And hey, when you really listen, those little annoyances magically seem a whole lot less annoying. Okay, that's lesson 6.1. I know we are flying through this material, so if you need to refer back to the 68-page written guide, that's exactly why we include it in the premium course. What's that? You still haven't purchased the premium course at freemarriagecourse.com? Well, this is awkward. Maybe not as awkward as a booger hanging out of your nose on a first date, but still. Anyway, on to lesson 6.2. Lesson 6.2 Effective Conflict Resolution, a 3-step process. The importance of conflict resolution. Spoiler alert, conflict happens. Even in the best relationships, you're bound to disagree over something, whether it's who forgot to unload the dishwasher or why one of you insists on wearing socks to bed. Seriously, why? But here's the good news. How you handle conflict can either bring you closer or make you feel like you're living in a never-ending episode of Survivor Couples Edition. Mastering conflict resolution is key to keeping the peace and strengthening your bond. In this lesson, we'll walk you through a 3-step process for tackling disagreements without the drama, flying accusations, or emotional hangovers. Step 1. Stay calm and regulate your emotions. First things first. Stay cool. When you're both seeing red, the chances of saying something regrettable skyrocket. And let's face it, nobody wants to apologize for calling their partner a laundry saboteur. Keeping your emotions in check helps you think clearly and approach the conversation with a level head. Take a break if needed. If you feel like you're about to blow your top, hit pause. Tell your partner, I just need a minute to cool off, and come back when you're ready to talk like grown-ups instead of emotional volcanoes. Practice deep breathing. It's not just for yoga class. Deep breathing really helps. Before you unleash your feelings, take a few slow breaths to dial down the frustration. Think of it as hitting the reset button before things go off the rails. Avoid blame. It's super tempting to start pointing fingers, but trust us, blame just cranks up the heat. Instead of saying, "You never listened to me," try, "I'm feeling really unheard right now." See the difference? Less fire, more understanding. Step 2, use I statements to express your feelings. Time to talk it out, but here's the trick. Use I statements. Why? Because starting sentences with you is basically the verbal equivalent of chucking a grenade into the conversation. I statements help you own your feelings without making your partner feel like they've been dragged to the stand in a courtroom. Examples of I statements. I feel hurt when. I need more help with. I get frustrated when. See how this keeps the focus on how you feel rather than making it a blame game? It opens up the floor for empathy and understanding instead of putting your partner on the defensive. Step 3, collaborate on a solution. Now that you've both cooled off and shared your feelings, it's time to team up and solve the problem together. The goal isn't to win the argument, no prize for that, but to find a solution that works for both of you. Teamwork makes the dream work. After all, brainstorm solutions together. Ask for your partner's input and throw some ideas on the table. The more solutions you come up with, the better your chances of finding one that works for both of you. And hey, don't be afraid to compromise. It's not about winning, it's about harmony. Focus on the future. Instead of getting stuck in the "you always do this" or "you never do that" cycle, shift gears to the future. What can you both do differently to make things better from here on out? It's all about moving forward, not living in the past. Commit to action. You've brainstormed, you've found a solution. Now it's time to actually do something about it. Whether it's agreeing to check in more often or creating a new habit, committing to action builds trust and shows you're both invested in making things work. Reflection exercise. Think about your last argument or a disagreement and ask yourself, how do you typically handle conflict? Are you calm and collected or more of a let's get loud type? Could you use more I versus statements instead of jumping straight into accusation mode? How can you tackle conflicts as a team rather than as opponents in a boxing match? By sticking to this 3-step process, you'll be able to resolve conflicts without the drama and actually come out stronger on the other side. Because at the end of the day, you're in this together, even if you'll never agree on the whole socks in bed thing. Lesson 6.3, Non-Defensive Communication Techniques. What is defensive communication? Defensive communication is like the verbal equivalent of building a fortress around yourself when your partner is just trying to talk about dinner plans. It happens when one or both of you feel under attack, even if no one's actually attacking, and end up reacting with behaviors that protect yourself but totally block healthy conversation. Think interrupting, deflecting blame, or emotionally checking out. none of which are winning strategies for solving anything. In this lesson, we're going to unpack how to ditch the defensive moves and replace them with non-defensive communication techniques. Get ready for fewer battles and more teamwork. Common defensive behaviors. Here are some classic defensive moves that can turn a simple chat into a communication train wreck. Interrupting. Cutting your partner off mid-sentence to explain, defend, or drop your hot take. Counterattacking. You've heard their point, and your response is basically, "Oh yeah? Well, you do this." Not exactly productive. Stonewalling. Shutting down emotionally. Your partner's talking, and you're out here like a brick wall, sturdy but totally unresponsive. Blaming. Instead of owning your part, you pull a, "It's not me, it's everything else," and blame the partner, the weather, or Mercury being in retrograde. All of these block real communication and turn a partnership into a battle zone. The goal becomes self-defense rather than working through the issue. Not fun, right? How to practice non-defensive communication. Let's flip the script. Non-defensive communication is all about keeping things calm, constructive, and connected. Here's how to make it happen. 1. Listen without interrupting. Yep, it's tough, but letting your partner finish their thought without jumping in shows respect and keeps things from escalating. Focus on what they're saying instead of planning your rebuttal. 2. Acknowledge your partner's feelings. Even if you're not fully on board with their perspective, showing empathy is a game changer. A simple, "I can see why you'd feel that way," goes a long way toward making your partner feel heard. 3. Take responsibility. If you've messed up, own it. Saying, "Yeah, that was on me," takes the wind out of conflict sails and shows you're willing to be accountable. Nobody's perfect, and admitting your part makes you a relationship MVP. 4. Stay focused on the present. Don't drag every past grievance into the current conversation. Stick to what's happening now, otherwise it's like opening a Pandora's box of unresolved issues. Trust me, no one needs that. 5. Use calm, neutral language. When things get heated, keep your language cool. Instead of, "You always do this," go for, "I've noticed this tends to happen, and I'd love to figure it out together." You're on the same team after all. Our reflection exercise. Take a sec to think about how you communicate during tough conversations. Do you catch yourself going into defensive mode? What's one non-defensive technique you can try next time things get tense? How can you listen more openly and respond more thoughtfully? By practicing non-defensive communication, you'll create a safer space for real conversations, leading to fewer walls, less finger pointing, and way more connection. Plus, it makes your relationship feel less like a courtroom and more like the partnership it's meant to be. That does it for lesson 6.3. And here comes another plug for the premium marriage course. You know what? I'll spare you the song and dance this time. I'll simply say that sales from premium courses allow us to offer the course for free. So if this course is adding value to your marriage, please consider purchasing it at freemarriagecourse.com. Okay, now on to lesson 6.4. Lesson 6.4, Emotional Support in Long-Term Relationships. The importance of emotional support in relationships. Let's be real. Life can be a bit of a roller coaster, and sometimes it feels like your partner is the only one holding your hand through all the twists, turns, and loop-de-loops. Emotional support is like that sturdy seatbelt that keeps you both strapped in and safe, no matter how wild the ride gets. It's about offering empathy, reassurance, and a "hey, I've got your back" vibe when things get tough. And let's face it, long-term relationships come with plenty of challenges, from career changes to family drama to figuring out who's going to fold the laundry. Seriously, why is this always a thing? Without emotional support, partners can start feeling more like roommates who pass each other in the hallway rather than a team. But when you nail this whole emotional support thing, that's when you really thrive, both individually and as a couple. Key aspects of emotional support. 1. Empathy. This is your "I feel you" moment. Empathy means really getting what your partner's going through and showing that you care. Whether they're stressed about work or just having a bad hair day, empathy is about validating their feelings and saying, "Yep, I'm here with you." 2. Active listening. Put down the phone, turn off the TV, and really tune in. This is about listening without distraction, so you can understand what's going on in that beautiful brain of theirs. 3. Reassurance. Sometimes all your partner needs to hear is, "I'm here for you," or "We'll get through this together." You don't need to solve world hunger. Just reassure them that they're not in this alone. 4. Validation. Even if you're not fully on board with their viewpoint, let them know their feelings are valid. You don't have to agree, but it's important to acknowledge that their emotions are real and worth your attention. 5. Encouragement. Whether it's cheering them on to crush their goals or just reminding them they're awesome, encouragement is key. Be their biggest fan, even if they're just trying to finally nail that sourdough recipe. Why emotional support is vital for relationship longevity. Strengthens the bond. It's easy to stick around when things are going great, but it's the tough times that really test your relationship. Emotional support shows that you're in this together, come rain or shine. Reduces stress. Life's hard enough without feeling like you're battling it solo. Emotional support reduces the stress of knowing you're part of a team that's got your back, even when things get messy. Encourages open communication. When you feel emotionally supported, you're way more likely to open up about what's going on in your head, and that's where the real relationship magic happens. Prevents resentment. If your partner feels like they're carrying the emotional load alone, resentment can start brewing. By being supportive, you keep things balanced and avoid those "you never listen to me" blow-ups. Challenges in providing emotional support. Of course, even with the best intentions, providing emotional support can have its bumps. Miscommunication. Sometimes what feels like support to you might not hit the same way for your partner. They might want a hug, and you're offering a pep talk. It's all about figuring out what works for them. Emotional exhaustion. Supporting your partner can be draining, especially during tough times. It's important to take care of your own emotional health too. Fear of vulnerability. Let's face it, getting deep with emotions can feel a little scary, but vulnerability is what helps build trust and emotional intimacy, so it's worth stepping out of your comfort zone. How to foster emotional support in your relationship. Ready to become your partner's emotional rock star? Here's how. 1. Ask what your partner needs. No two people are the same, so ask them straight up. What do you need from me right now? Some people need a pep talk, while others just want a quiet cuddle. 2. Be present. Emotional support starts with showing up. Like really showing up. Tune in to your partner's emotional state and check in regularly. Don't wait until things are falling apart to ask how they're doing. 3. Practice active listening. When they're talking, just listen. Don't jump in with solutions or dismiss their feelings. Reflect back what you're hearing to make sure you're on the same page. 4. Be patient. Not everything gets fixed in a day. Sometimes, emotional support is about sitting with your partner while they work through their feelings, without rushing to fix things. 5. Support their individual growth. Just because you're a team doesn't mean you can't have individual goals. Encourage your partner to chase their dreams, even if they're different from your own. Reflection exercise. Take a moment to think about the emotional support in your relationship. How does your partner typically ask for support? Or do they? Maybe that's something to work on. Are there any areas where you think you could step up your emotional support game? Or where you'd like a little more support yourself? How can you both work together to make sure emotional support is a consistent part of your relationship? By fostering emotional support, you'll create a relationship that feels like a safe, nurturing space, where both of you feel valued, heard, and loved. And when life throws its curveballs, as it inevitably will, you'll know you've got each other's backs. Alrighty then, that's all she wrote for Chapter 6. We've all heard that communication is key, but hopefully now you've got the tools to make good communication a reality. Next up is Chapter 7, where we'll discuss emotional connection and attachment. All aboard the train to touchy-feely town.